Now, the Council of State has endorsed a private members' bill currently before Parliament, which is seeking to amend portions of the Constitution which bars dual citizens from holding certain public offices. Articles 8 Clause 2 and 94 Clause 2A of the Constitution 1992 does not allow citizens who owe allegiance to other countries to become MPs, be Chief Justice, IGP, Chief of Defense Staff, or even an ambassador or High Commissioner. MP for Akim Suedru Kennedy Osenyakon's private members' bill has received major support from the Council of State. Parliamentary Affairs correspondent Kwekwa Sante joins me with more. Kwekwa, the Council of State has written to Parliament endorsing the bill. What more do we know?
So we know that this bill is going through the parliamentary processes so far in terms of its ability to hit the floor for a vote to happen. And the Council of State's opinion is very necessary as the Constitution mandates. Parliament wrote to the Council of State to seek its opinion on this bill, which will ultimately allow dual citizens to be able to hold public offices like IGP, members of Parliament, among other things. The Council of State say that they endorsed this bill. They say that at the second plenary meeting of its 15th session, the Council unanimously accepted the recommendations of its own committee, which studied the bill and has critically appraised same, and hereby advised the Right Honourable Speaker to proceed with the constitutional processes to affect the proposed amendments. And so the Council of State, which has a constitutional mandate to actually peruse some of these bills and offer an advice to the Speaker of Parliament and Parliament, has now decided that the bill meets their expectation and that Parliament can go ahead and approve it.
So the Speaker has also written back and assuring that the bill will be taken through the necessary procedures to pass it. I mean, how urgent or what kind of speed will they attach to it? Did the Speaker talk about that?
Right. So first, the Speaker said that he would ensure that all relevant constitutional processes are complied with to give effect to the proposed amendments. That is the first stage. But the bill has been at committee for a number of months now. What is expected to happen is that it comes for the second reading stage. Consideration will be taken clause by clause. Already, the Member of Parliament has been telling me that some members of Parliament have concerns about the bill. There are some MPs who are not so much in tune with the idea of allowing dual citizens to become members of Parliament, for instance. And so that hurdle must be crossed, and that conversation is being had. The judgment is being had in Parliament now. It is expected that when Parliament returns by the end of this month, this will become some of the key things we'll be discussing and approving. The expectation is that by the end of this year, that dual citizenship bill that is currently before the House will get approval.
Kwekwa Sante is our parliamentary correspondent, and he will be bringing us more as and when we get this from Parliament. The CDD fellow Professor Stephen Kwekwasari, however, says there's a fundamental misreading of the Constitution which makes some people equate citizenship to allegiance, and called for a speedy passage of the private members' bill in Parliament.
I'm glad indeed that you read Article 8, and then you also read Article 94 2A. Because they are different and they relate to different things. Unfortunately, they have not always been read correctly.
Okay.
And it is interesting that the Article 8.2 and Article 8 that you read were actually the old provisions from the old unamended Constitution that actually barred dual citizenship. Dual citizenship was not allowed under the regime that you read from. Once you understand that old Article 8.2 did not even allow dual citizenship, then you would also understand that Article 94 2A has nothing to do with dual citizenship or a status that was banned to start with. Now, these divided loyalties and so on that you were talking about were some of the reasons given for the bar in the old Constitution, in the unamended Article 8. However, in 1996, we presented a case to the then Parliament and provided evidence that the fears that they had, divided loyalties and so on, were all needless And indeed, if you go back to the roots of Ghana history, we all started as British subjects until May 1957, when the First Nationality Act was enacted.
Speaking to JoyNews, founding member of the NPP and medical doctor based in the U.S., Dr. Kobnata Kennedy says concerns that if dual citizens are allowed to hold public office, they will undermine Ghanaian interests is flawed.
Respectfully, that is a red herring. My brother, most of those who have destroyed Ghana have been people who didn't have dual citizenship. The people who are running our country into the ground for the most part are full citizens. So I really do not think the mere possession of a second citizenship would dilute anybody's loyalty. We know that, there are people who live in the diaspora here. At the mention of Banku or Fufu, they start salivating. They dream about Ghana all the time. And if you think about it, after all the progress that you've made and how well you are paid elsewhere, why would you care about Ghana if it was not for the love of the place? As they say in Akan, that is where your umbilical cord is. So actually, the people here should worry more about our allegiance than Ghanaians should. And it's ironic that from time immemorial, Ghanaian governments have always been willing to offer citizenship to Black Americans and other Blacks in the diaspora without worrying about their loyalties. They say, oh, you are African, so come home. And yet those of us who actually...
We've had the year of return, beyond the year of return as well. And we are not willing to welcome our own back home.
Absolutely.